Star Trek Lower Decks' amazing finale still had three big missed opportunities. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5 came to an explosive and ultimately satisfying end, but three big opportunities were unfortunately missing from the series finale. In Star Trek Lower Decks' climactic episode, the USS Cerritos is the only Starfleet ship that can stop a devastating soliton wave from obliterating Star Trek's prime timeline. The Cerritos crew rises to the occasion, working together to save the universe. In the end, the unstable fissure becomes a stable wormhole that leads to various quantum realities, setting up a future full of fascinating possibilities. When Starfleet first learns of the soliton wave, they admit they would rather not leave the fate of the universe in the hands of a California-class starship. However, while the USS Enterprise E is on the way, it could not reach the wormhole in time. Despite at least two mentions of Star Trek's most iconic ship, the Enterprise only appears briefly stationed at Starbase 80 and the crew do not appear at all. Plus, the lower deckers of the Cerritos do not get to meet any of the alternate universe Star Trek Legacy characters who are part of the Anaximander's crew. Star Trek Lower Decks' finale never shows the USS Enterprise E crew. The entire premise of Star Trek Lower Decks was largely inspired by Star Trek The Next Generation Season 7, Episode 15 Lower Decks, and the animated comedy feels like a spiritual successor to TNG. Set only about a year after the events of Star Trek Nemesis, Lower Decks takes place firmly in Star Trek's TNG era. Despite this, the crew of the Enterprise E never appear in Star Trek Lower Decks' finale. Unfortunately, Star Trek Lower Decks does not reveal who is currently in command of the Enterprise, as it could be either Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, or Captain Worf, Michael Dorn. It would have been hilarious to see the Enterprise come swooping in at the last minute, ready to save the galaxy yet again, only for Captain Carol Freeman, Don Lewis, to reveal she and her crew had already handled the situation. While it makes sense that the team behind Star Trek Lower Decks would want the Cerritos and its crew to be the stars of the show, no one wants another Star Trek Enterprise finale situation. A small cameo from the Enterprise crew would have been perfect. Plus, Deep Space Nine and the USS Voyager have both appeared on the show, compared to a very brief Enterprise E cameo. Star Trek Lower Decks' The New Next Generation offers a glimpse of a party on Starbase 80, showing Captain William Boimler, Jack Quaid, and his crew of legacy characters mingling with the Starbase crew. The Cerritos crew members, however, are not shown at this party. LT Brad Boimler, Jack Quaid, records a log entry that mentions his duplicate's crew, but he is not shown reuniting with William or interacting with any of the Anaximander's crew. Considering how much William Boimler's death affected Brad, it would have been nice to see the two reunite on screen. Also disappointing is LT Tlin, Gabrielle Ruiz, never meeting T'Pol, Jolene. As Tlin was partially inspired by T'Pol, the two Vulcans have a lot in common. Their interactions would have been so fun to watch, and likely a breath of fresh air for both Vulcans, who are used to working with eccentric and emotional crews. Plus, Boimler would have surely freaked out about meeting iconic characters like T'Pol and Dr. Julian Bashir, Alexander Siddig. LT Beckett Mariner, Tawny Newsome, too, could have gotten in on the fun. She and Garak, Andrew Robinson, would have made a particularly great pairing. The finale of Star Trek Lower Decks has been met with praise for its humor, fan service, and heartfelt moments that capture the essence of the Star Trek franchise. The show has consistently pushed boundaries and explored parts of Starfleet rarely shown in previous iterations, giving fans an entirely new perspective on the day-to-day lives of the crew members working in the background, the Lower Decks officers. However, as much as the finale was filled with excitement and strong emotional beats, there were three major missed opportunities that could have elevated the season to even greater heights. 1. Missing the opportunity to develop the bridge crew further. One of the main strengths of Lower Decks is how it places its main focus on the lesser-known crew members. But the bridge crew has often been portrayed as somewhat flat, often serving as caricatures rather than fully developed characters. In the finale, we see moments where the bridge officers, such as Captain Freeman and Commander Ransom, take part in the action. However, the show missed the opportunity to flesh them out more significantly. Captain Freeman, in particular, has been portrayed as a well-meaning but often bumbling leader. While this dynamic works for the tone of the show, it could have been fascinating to delve deeper into her motivations or insecurities. The finale could have explored the burden she feels leading a second-tier ship like the USS Cerritos, particularly in contrast to the more prestigious vessels in Starfleet. A moment of vulnerability or reflection on her part could have added depth to her character and emphasized the emotional stakes of the finale. Similarly, Commander Ransom's personality has largely been played for laughs, often embodying the classic dumb jock stereotype. While he had moments of heroism in the finale, the show could have used this episode to subvert that trope and reveal a more complex side to his character. Perhaps a scene where Ransom demonstrates a deeper understanding of Starfleet's ideals, or a more personal reason for why he pushes the lower deckers so hard could have added layers to his role. By focusing more on these key members of the bridge crew, the finale could have deepened the audience's connection to them, making the stakes feel even higher and more resonant. 2. The Klingon subplot could have been explored in greater detail throughout the season. Lower Decks has teased interstellar conflicts and diplomatic issues, with the Klingons playing a small but significant role in some episodes. The finale introduced a Klingon subplot that hinted at larger political ramifications within the Star Trek universe. However, the show missed an opportunity to dive deeper into this storyline. The Klingons have always been a central and iconic part of Star Trek, but in Lower Decks, they are often used for comedic relief or as a convenient plot device. The finale could have capitalized on the tension between the Federation and the Klingon Empire, creating more drama and setting the stage for future conflicts. Instead, the Klingon subplot felt underdeveloped and rushed, as though it were tacked on to the finale without proper resolution or exploration. It would have been particularly satisfying if the show had used the finale to explore the political dynamics between Starfleet and the Klingon High Council. Perhaps Captain Freeman or one of the lower deckers could have played a more pivotal role in negotiating with the Klingons or averting a potential crisis. This would have tied into Star Trek's legacy of addressing political intrigue and diplomacy, giving the finale a more sophisticated edge. 3. Tesla Lynn's story arc feels incomplete. Tlin, the Vulcan officer introduced earlier in the season, has become a fan-favorite character due to her unique blend of Vulcan logic and her struggle to fit in with her emotionally driven human colleagues. Her character added an interesting dynamic to the Cerritos crew, highlighting the cultural differences between Vulcans and humans. Fans were eagerly anticipating a resolution to her storyline in the finale, but unfortunately, it fell short. While Tlin had a few moments in the finale, the show did not give her the spotlight she deserved. Her internal struggle, trying to reconcile her logical Vulcan heritage with the more chaotic and emotional environment of the Cerritos, was an intriguing plotline that deserved more attention. The finale could have explored her personal growth or given her a defining moment where she embraces both her Vulcan nature and her newfound friendships. Additionally, the show missed an opportunity to delve deeper into the complexities of Vulcan culture. Tlin could have served as a vehicle for exploring Vulcan society's often rigid adherence to logic, perhaps questioning the effectiveness of that mindset in every scenario. A more emotionally charged scene where she confronts her internal conflicts and perhaps opens up to her fellow officers would have been a powerful way to conclude her arc this season. Conclusion: a stellar finale that could have been even brighter,